All right, well, welcome to Falco Fridays. If you guys want to know what changes have been done to Falco and what has been added over the course of the last week, keep watching. We're going to try something a little new. This is going to be Falco Fridays. Hopefully every Friday, hit or miss, I'm going to give a summary of what new features have been added to Falco, what the updates are on Falco, and what things we've changed in the Falco code. Should be the home run. This is where we're moving pretty quick because we got a nice solid foundation. It's pretty easy to add stuff and work on things. Nick Willard and my son have been working hard adding some features, and hopefully they'll be able to continue this over the next coming weeks, and we'll have it up to where everyone wants it to be. I did a poll the other day, and if you want a feature added or if you want to change something, the best thing to do is add it to that poll, and people can vote on it, and it'll also be a good way that we can track a list to know, what we should be doing or not. Okay, the first thing we've added is single arm. So if you like double arm, the way we had it when we started, you just go ahead and, you can double arm it. Or if you turn it to single arm mode, the first time you single arm, it will calibrate the gyro. So just make sure that it's nice and stable and level and not moving at all when you do the first time you arm it. But after that, it will arm instantly every time. So for example, if you want to be able to slide down a ski slope and release your quad midair and arm it, or throw it off a cliff and arm it, this is what you want to do. Put it on the ground, let it be stable, arm it, disarm it, and then you can toss that thing off the cliff and just arm it midair. That's an option that's now been added to Falco, so now people who want double arm, people who want single arm, both options are there. Now be warned, single arm is not near as safe, so keep that in mind. When you're bending over and accidentally picking up your quad, you can trigger that very easily. There is still safety mode, which should help prevent you from having any issues, but just keep safety in mind at all times. The next thing, motor beep was requested. So if you hit a switch, it will use D-Shot to beep your motors. You need to have D-Shot enabled to use this, but that feature is now added in. So if you lose your quad and you want to start your motors beeping, you can do that now with a switch. Another thing that was added this week was pin toggle. Some of you guys who use the VTX switches need this feature to trigger it. It basically lets you wire something to the TX4 pin, and it sends a signal when you flick a switch, which will allow you to enable or disable your VTX if you have something that supports that. All right, another one, ReadyMade RC sent us their VTX, and we made sure it had its support, and the choice for that VTX is now in the system. So if you have that VTX, make sure you choose that one so it can set up smart audio and everything properly for it. We added RSSI on channel 8 or 16 for FlySky. That's been added as well. Another big one is we've added current sensing for ESCs. If you want to use BLHeli32 telemetry, that's added as well as analog current sensing. So it is set up now to use for the old Bolt V2 by stock, so that should be perfect if you're using that ESC. If you're not using that ESC, then you're going to want to use a different setting, most likely, which you can change the offset in the OSD menus. We've also added rate presets, so if you want to choose some of your pilot's favorite rates, that wasn't in there, and now you can do that as well. Some of you guys have noticed you can completely control the layout of the OSD in the OSD. I know Alex Campbell was telling me this is one of his favorite features about Falco. One of the things we've done is added a few more features to the OSD. You can pick a crosshair now. You can pick average ESC temperature. You can see RPM per ESC, assuming on both of those you're using BLHeli32 telemetry. You can see current draw, and you can see total milliamp hours used. We've also added support for current monitoring through the BLHeli32, which I told you earlier, and that you can see those in the OSD now. We've added a PG3 tune preset. It's the tune my son likes to use. And we've added some config checking and validation, which will automatically reset the config if there's any issues, or if you try and go too high or too low on values that shouldn't be allowed, it's going to automatically correct that for you. Some of the little changes we've done, we've increased the Acro Plus limit to 1,000. We released our new calculator. You can go to flightone.com/rates. There's a video on that as well. But we noticed that some people's BetaFlight rates maxed out Acro Plus beyond 300, which the limit was set to before. So we've actually increased this to 1,000. So hopefully you can convert to that and still do some of your BetaFlight rates like you are used to using them. We've increased the max allowed deadband value. So those of you who need some more deadband, it's allowed. We've also added replaced the 6S tune with one called Deacon FPV Race Tune, which we find works well for 6S quads and as well as some other quads. Something along those lines to keep in mind is that every tune isn't for every quad and every battery type. We're going to stop calling things stuff like 6S tune because quite honestly it has to do with how noisy your quad is and the combination of the battery and your motors. If you're running a 6,000 kV on 4S on some 4-inch quad, that one's going to be insanely high, so it's not going to allow the PIDs to be as high as if you're running the same thing on a 3,000 kV motor. So you can get the same power and combination from any size battery depending on the kV of your motor, so it's just best to try each different tune. As always, arm in a field line of sight so you can disarm it quickly if it goes out of control. But the best bet is to just try all the tunes in there and find which one makes your quad fly the best. Don't just assume one quad is for one specific tune. A lot of them might work great on all your quads and a lot of them might work terrible. So it's best just to try a bunch of tunes. We have made DFU only check for the first 30 seconds. So if your quad was accidentally going into DFU mode, I know some problem hardware that people have soldered to our flight controllers calls that. It only triggers for the first 30 seconds, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. We've added a message to the OSD to let you know you're in DFU mode. That means unplugged because other things aren't going to work if you're in DFU mode. We fixed an issue that caused the setup menu to be entered after exiting, like it'll come back up after you exit. We've allowed the filters to be set to 0. You can disable the filters, but some people put 0 in them to disable them, so now either method should work. We've adjusted the stick acceleration in the text menu to make big changes easier, so that means the longer you hold it, the faster the numbers will go. So if you're going a far range, it won't take quite as long. And we've also made exit restore currently saved config, so unsaved changes will be discarded. That means if you don't save, and you just exit the menu, it's going to reset it to what it was before you went to the OSD and made changes, which is handy if you decide that, you messed something up and you want to go back to what it was without saving. So these are the changes for this week. I mean, it was quite a huge week. A lot of stuff has been added. You definitely want to thank my son, and even Nick has been helping out this week on the changes, and they've been doing a great job. If you have any questions, like I said, the first thing, if you want some features added or you want to vote on the options, there's a poll. I'm going to try and link it in the description, but you can add features and other things there. I think it's a good way for us to track it. And it's a good way to see an indication of what things people want to see next, so we can decide which is best to focus on. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell, and comment, and let me know if you have any more questions or what you want to see us do next.